What's going on, friends? There has never been a time in our lifetimes where we have had so many options when it comes to Harley-Davidson motorcycles. Now, I'm talking about there is a Harley-Davidson for everybody's budget, everybody's skill level, anything and everything you could ever want and imagine in a Harley-Davidson. It's available to you right here and right now. There has never been a time in Harley-Davidson history where you've been able to go out and buy a Harley-Davidson as powerful as they are right now, right out of the factory. And I'm not just talking about the brand new Harley-Davidsons, but even the used ones out there. When it came to the 114 engine, the 107 engine, the Milwaukee 8 for Harley-Davidson was a game changer. Maybe not so much in the reliability that we would have liked to have seen, but as far as horsepower and torque, we have never seen anything like this coming out of Harley-Davidson. Before the time that we're enjoying right now when it comes to Harley-Davidson motorcycles, there was a time where you actually had to build your Harley-Davidson into what you can buy pretty much bone stock on the new or used market today. Guys, please don't forget, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Now, in typical Harley fashion, anytime an engine comes out, anybody that rides Harley-Davidsons, they naturally hate it. Same thing happened with the Pan to the shovel to the Evo to the twin cam. Now that one might have been for pretty good reason, and definitely from the twin cam into the Milwaukee 8, there was a lot of things to love and a lot of things to hate. And that's been true about every Harley-Davidson engine that has ever come out. But as of right now, when it comes to Harley-Davidson motorcycles, you have more options than you have ever had in the past. Right now, all these engines are still very viable. You can still get parts for them, and you can still work on them. And depending on what you want to do with the bike, any Harley-Davidson today will put out just enough horsepower to get done what you want to get done with the motorcycle. You have the options from Evos all the way up to twin cams. And in twin cams, you have so many options to choose from an 88, 96, 103, 110. Then we get into the actual Milwaukee 8s, 107s, 114s, 117s. Now the CVOs, the 121s, and some of those newer motors, that's something a little bit special. That's not really so much mainstream. Not to mention the crate motors that Harley-Davidson offers now, the 135s, the 131s, plus the plethora of big bore kits that are out there on the market today. Things may look bleak at Harley-Davidson corporate right now, but if you're a consumer out on the market and you're looking at used Harley-Davidsons, there are so many options to choose from. Depending on your skill level, whether you want to work on your own motorcycle, pay an independent shop, maybe you got enough money to go out and buy a new one or finance a new one and actually get all your work done at the dealership. There is something for everybody when it comes to Harley-Davidson. And that rings true whether you're looking for something smaller to get started on, you're looking for kind of a middleweight cruiser, or you're really looking for a heavy touring bike. Harley-Davidson has got something from you from any era, depending on what fits you best, your budget, and your skill level when it comes to working on the motorcycle. Now, aside from all the flack and all the crap going on at Harley-Davidson corporate, we really do have it really good right now when it comes to Harley-Davidson motorcycles. I cannot, looking back, remember a time where you had so many different engine options out there. Now, whether you want to say the new ones are less reliable or more reliable than the older ones, I'm just going to have to say it. The newer bikes, you're definitely going to have to touch them less. And yes, there is less maintenance involved if you keep up with the basic maintenance on them. As Harley-Davidson has progressed through the years from carburetors to fuel injection, things have gotten a little simpler in terms of just ease of use and riding. Now, I understand a lot of folks don't like this, but we've literally gone from being able to turn a screwdriver, getting your hands dirty, to literally hooking up your phone to the motor. You don't even have to use a cord anymore. You can literally use an aftermarket tuner, even Harley-Davidson's own tuner, and hook up to your motorcycle and make some limited adjustments, well, through Harley-Davidson. But if you have a good aftermarket tuner, this is all very, very possible. But at the same time, that does have its drawbacks where a lot of guys, I understand, we like to get in there, we like to get our hands dirty and make our own adjustments and do things and not deal with electronics. So it really is just all a matter of perspective. But if you told me about 30 years ago that, hey, in the future, we're going to be tuning our motorcycles with a phone in our hands, I guarantee a lot of people are going to look at you like you're absolutely nuts. Now, whether you love the technology or you hate the technology, that is another beautiful part about Harley-Davidson motorcycles today, is you can literally buy one whether it be used or new. Well, not so much new, you're pretty much stuck with the technology on the new ones, but when you're looking into a Harley, you can actually go out and shop for just about as much or as little technology in your motorcycle as you want. Now granted, the less technology you want, the older the bike's going to be, and the more used you're going to have to get, if that makes any sense. Now, once again, the older motorcycles, of course, you want to be careful with those. Older bikes, they're great, they're cheaper up front, but man, I can tell you right now from experience, you think you bought a good used motorcycle, everything looks good on it, really nothing that jumps out at you. No noises, everything on it looks good. But sometimes I just think some used motorcycles just may be cursed, because some of the best looking used bikes that I've ever bought that I thought I wasn't going to have any issues with turned out to be some of the biggest nickel and diming pieces of shit I've ever owned in my life. And I ended up getting rid of them for something a little uglier. But that all comes down to how they were maintained. I don't know the history of that bike. Maybe the owner before the guy I bought it from didn't take very good care of it. And the guy that bought it from him put all the time, money, and effort into it and tried to make it look nice and run good. And he found out the same thing that I did during my ownership tenure with the motorcycle. But right now, that is the absolute beauty of a Harley-Davidson. You can go out and get an older bike with zero technology on it, or you can get something a little bit newer that kind of falls in the middle as far as technology. You want a little fuel injection with the analog gauges? There are years of Harley-Davidson for that, including the touring models. Now, of course, you get into a little bit later the touring models. My favorite touring models, guys, are the ones with the analog gauges, and they got a nice little touch screen on them. Just kind of keep things a little bit modern, and you know what? You can't beat that electronic cruise control. I've rode bikes for years without cruise control, and honestly, I don't mind it when I'm out running 200 miles in one direction and turn around and coming home. It is actually pretty nice. So guys, I tell you right now, I'm not a big fan of the latest bikes that have all the technology on them, but at the same time, when Harley-Davidson first started putting touchscreens on their motorcycles, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't a fan of that. I thought it was the stupidest thing in the world, but as time has gone on, I've kind of come around to embrace that just a little bit. Do I think it's necessary riding around town? Not really, but I do enjoy them out on the longer rides. So guys, as time passes, I really think a lot of us are going to kind of start coming around to some of the later models as they age and we get a little bit older. But the beauty of it is, even as technologically advanced as the newer Harleys are, as time goes on, the aftermarket's going to help us out. There's going to be equipment out there that we can pick up cheap, because eventually at some point, aftermarket companies are going to basically break the system that Harley's got out there, and they're going to start producing their own tools and electrical diagnostic equipment that allows you to hook up to the motorcycles and take care of business the way it needs to be taken care of. Also, the beauty of the newer Harley-Davidson motorcycles is the fact that just the sheer power and torque that they're coming with right out of the factory. Now, I love the fact that they're coming with 100 plus horsepower and torque out of the factory these days. Even just the past 5 years they've been doing that. But I will say that was something that we used to strive for on twin cam motorcycles, was getting that 100 horsepower benchmark out of your twin cam motorcycle. Now, I will say this, that one could argue that maybe the newer bikes do it better, more safely, more reliably, as far as the engine itself goes. But if I remember correctly, including any of the bikes that I've done or other people's builds, when it came to 100 horsepower twin cam, you had much better components in there than what was coming out of the factory. And I'm not going to argue with anybody that's what's coming out of the factory today, just internal component wise, is probably not better than what we were running in hopped up twin cams years ago. And many of you may even remember what a high horsepower Harley was in the Evos. 85, 90 horsepower. 100 horsepower was basically something on an Evo you want to take to the drag strip. But guys, if you really sit back and you think about it, there is a Harley-Davidson for every budget, every skill level, just about any person's situation in this world that you can imagine that wants to be on a Harley-Davidson. You can find something for you. If you want to work on it yourself, great. There is a bike for that. You hate technology, there's a bike for that. You want all the technology, there's one for that. If you want to fall somewhere in the middle, that's pretty easy to find. Just got to get out there and start looking for them. That's the only thing. And if you think about it, you've got more options now than you've ever had before. All the different iterations of the twin cam, the Milwaukee 8s. Then there's always the good old Evo that's just floating around out there. And then every single one of those bikes has a varying degree of technology. If you want electronics on the screen, or if you just want fuel injection or a carburetor, it's out there. But guys, I want your thoughts and opinions. Do you feel like we are actually living in a time where you've had more options to get on a Harley-Davidson than ever? From Evolution engines, twin cam engines, Milwaukee 8s, and all the iterations in between there. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and which one would you pick given if you were going to go out and buy another Harley-Davidson tomorrow? Would you want more technology or less technology? Let me know in the comments. But yeah, guys, that's all I've got for you today. If you guys enjoyed the video, please don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Until next week, guys, you stay safe on the streets, ride smart, dodge those cars. I'll catch you guys back here next week with a brand new video. Thanks for watching.